Alrighty, beautiful. We have another huge video coming up. We've got Max Stant here, who runs an email marketing agency. He's been scaling up like crazy. So I honestly couldn't wait to chat to him because, there's not many people. I say this a lot when I talk to people, but it's just kind of, been lucky to get to chat to some really strong business owners. But we've got Max Stant here. He's been scaling like crazy. You're still in college, aren't you?
Correct. Yeah, just finished my junior year, third year, if you Australian people don't know what that is.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Fair little jab. Get the jabs out quick. But yeah, so I've been scaling like crazy while in college, which is it's definitely not normal, and you definitely don't see that much. So really keen to hear a little bit more about your story and kind of just pick your brain a little bit. God forbid we do a little bit of brain picking about what you've done, so we can hopefully create a YouTube video and a chat that is not boring and not shit and not valuable. So if you want to do a quick intro of yourself, hopefully that, you can live up to the expectation that I've set, which is probably not that high, but
Let's do it. Let's do it. Awesome. Well, thank you. Hello, I'm Max. I run an e-commerce email and SMS marketing agency. I live in California, so I have to deal with all these taxes. So that's why I've just been scaling, trying to outrun the taxes. But I'm in college. I go to University of San Diego. Third year, I started into this space. I ran businesses all throughout high school. I mean, I was always just like classic, I don't know, selling whatever, like candy store out of your backpack. And then like middle school, I started doing like online business, selling sports cards. That was like the thing that got me into online business. That really numbed me to making money online. Like after I sold my first card, it's like, first of all, it's a piece of cardboard. And then I'm selling it to a dude in North Carolina named Randy, who has like 3 children. I sold it to him for like $500. Like that numbed me to money and what money is and selling stuff online. And so naturally selling stuff online led me to like copywriting. Started doing copywriting, went to college and messed around freshman year of college, my first year, as people do. And I was still doing online business stuff here and there, doing crypto as well, but I was still doing some copywriting. And
beautiful.
then, yeah, and then really got into like copywriting, email marketing at the end of my first year. And that's when I went all in, like quit all my jobs, or not all my jobs, but my job for the summer, and was just like, I'm going to go all in on this. And then, so that was like end of freshman year. And then all of last year, sophomore year, just working full time all day, every day. And then all of this year, all day, every day, just finished the school year. And here we are. So it's been about like 2.5 years, like full time.
Yeah. I mean, that's almost a lesson in itself because I think a lot of people in your position at your age, if they're not really crushing it after like 1 year in business, they almost start freaking out. Like, what's wrong? Something's wrong. Something's not going correctly. But it sounds like you kind of had a bit more of a less linear journey where you were kind of like, yeah, I'm doing a bit of stuff here. I'm at uni. I'm kind of just, messing around, as you said. And maybe, that's, I don't know if that's PG content based on some stuff that I've heard from you. But
Yeah.
yeah, can you tap into that? Like, what was it like when potentially, I don't know if this was true, but I don't know, maybe you were feeling like it should have been going faster and stuff like that. What was really like your mindset going through a couple of years?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely a grind. So like at the beginning, I just like, as everybody does, it doesn't feel, you seem like everything is a waste. You're not making any money. And the thing is, like, when you don't have anything and the work you're doing is everything is for free. Like it's another thing now to like just work every day because it's like you're at least earning money. But like when you don't have it and you aren't making any money and you feel like you're putting in like 8 to 10 hours every day and it's not going anywhere, you just quit and nobody would know tomorrow. And then you say, I just wasted 3 weeks of working 8 hours every day. And so that's very difficult when you don't have that traction. And so that was very difficult. And so I did catch some fire. So first it was a couple months of absolute nothing, just like learning, and just trying every day to figure stuff out. And it was terrible. Every single day you want to quit. And then once things got going for me, they really got going. So kind of like that summer, that's when I really like started to figure out some outreach stuff. And I started to get pretty good at copywriting and email marketing. And then I kind of just like took off and signed a few big clients. And then that was great. All was fine and dandy. I was doing that. So it was tough at first because, again, I was learning, screwing up a lot of stuff. And then at that point, like 4 months in, it's like kind of that summer. So I'm talking about freshman year, right at the back of freshman year,
Is
not
this
getting
2022?
2021, I think. 2021.
Right.
Yeah. Right? No, that would be 2022. Yeah, that'd be 2022. Um, that's when things I started going all in and it sucked. I was just not getting anything. I wanted to quit every day. And then once I signed like my first client, I started signing just like all of them and I was doing all sorts of stuff, working everywhere and it was crazy. And then I was making good money. I was making, like as much as my parents. And that was during sophomore year. And that was cool, but I was by myself and it was just me in the business and I was working just only on fulfillment every day. And then I decided to take a step back where I was like, okay, this isn't going to scale. I need to start an agency and like I want to sign more clients. So I had to fire all my clients. I went from like the sexy like 10K a month where everybody tries to get to. And I was like, that was my goal. I hit that. And then I was like, okay, I hit it. Now I wouldn't be able to scale past this. And so I pretty much fired everybody besides like two clients. And then I just like lost all my income besides like a few grand a month. And then that's when I like had to start from the ground up again. Now I had the skill of like email marketing and copywriting because I was doing that was about like 9 months where I was like really like doing it full time in these brands. And then I was like, okay, now I want to scale this or try to scale this. It's like, it's funny when you say that when you have like two clients, you're just like, yeah, I'm going to scale. Like it's not scale, but it's like, I'm trying to like build something.
Yeah, like you're gonna
And
start.
yeah, exactly. And so that was the big thing for me, taking that huge step back and then starting fresh. I kind of forget the original question, but it did suck at first. It really did. But once I did that and I fired those people and fulfillment was easy, it was super fun starting to build. Just working because it never felt like work to me. Like I'm in college, doing this, but it never felt like work, like getting up early and just trying to figure it out. It's just fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
Yeah, it's interesting because you hear that a lot where people say, "Yeah, well, we were going all right, made a bunch of mistakes, probably wasn't doing it the right way, had to kind of step back a bit and had to kind of do this and that." And then, oh yeah, and then like a year later, I was just like printing cash from the sky. But I guess what I want to tap into a little bit is what are you actually thinking when you're in the moment of realization? Like, shit, this is not going to work. Like, I'm not gonna make money long term, or the amount of money that I want to make long term, doing it the way that I'm currently doing it. Like, what are the actual thoughts going through your head, and what does the mindset look like at those times?
Yeah, so I think that was like a big decision for me, big ego hit that first time. And you get this at different stages, like as you go, where you reach capacity and it's like, I need to break past this point. And I think I like just crossed one recently as well. And it's like, you need to like really change stuff. And so that's where it's like, it's super overwhelming. And you think that when you kind of reach capacity and you're like, what I'm doing, I can't keep doing it. Like if I want to go to another letter, I need to figure something out. And it's just kind of, there's no specific thing that you can point to where it's like, this is what's wrong. But you can just feel it that something, you're not going to be able to grow. And so it's kind of at that point that's where I take a step back and I just like ask everybody that I know ahead of me. And I'm like, try to get super intricate into my business. I try to give everybody the full context. And I'm like, what does this person do that or somebody ahead of me? I just say like, what would you do in this scenario? And it's literally as simple as that. But kind of like to go back, like to tap into like the oh shit moment. For me, it's just like when when I get to the point where the quality of my work drops is when I know that like some shit needs to change. And so when I was like at capacity there, like my client results, when I was like freelancing, when I was like at that 10K sexy mark and I was all over the place, I was working like in a ton of different brands. And it was fun, but I was working like 10 to 12 hours and I was starting to get sick of it. And I could tell that like I wasn't going to be able to do anything more. So it sucked at first, but there was just that gut feeling in me. And I think just if you have that intuition when you're kind of reaching a certain threshold that you don't think you will scale past, but I think you need to have a desire to go past it. Because the thing is, like, a lot of times when you grow, you just have to sacrifice your margins. And that was one of the big things, is that I knew that I'm going to have to eat into my margins for a bit to grow. And so that's been like always consistently what it is. You have to constantly compromise a piece of the pie so you can have a smaller piece of a bigger pie rather than a bigger piece of a smaller pie. That's always what it is. Every stage I'm in, every like where I need to like crack through something, in some way I need to dip into my margins, make my margins go down a little bit, but my total revenue is going to go up. My total like personal revenue is going to go up because I'm going to have a bigger pie. So that's the biggest learning moment for me. And that's something that I've never been afraid to do.
It's a good point. And I think I'll probably tap into that as well because you're like 21, aren't you?
Correct.
Yeah, so you're really young, and it's really young to have that kind of mindset where you're ready to kind of just wade forward and just continue doing stuff no matter what, and continue just kind of without really giving that much of a fuck and just being like,
Yeah.
I need to like go pay this guy this amount of money. I need to go hire this person. I need to take a step back from ops. Like it's pretty. I'm slow to use the word wise because it's probably not the right context, but it is a little bit. It's like a wise decision. So, what do you think has allowed you to do that? Like, would you say like I know it's kind of a tough question. You probably lean towards like, yeah, it's just been my upbringing, it's just been the way I was brought up, or it's just kind of how I operated. But what do you think kind of gave you that ability to step back and have that perspective when you're kind of almost looking at it externally rather than obviously you're running a business, you're working 10, 12 hours a day. You almost can't see what's going on. So what would you say kind of the thing that allows you to do that is?
Yeah. Absolutely. Like if it was like 20 years ago, I wouldn't be able to because like the internet, that's literally all it is I'm like every single day I make it a priority to listen to at least like an hour a day of like a podcast of somebody ahead of me. And so usually that's like big agency owners. I've been in a Eddie Malouf like binge lately. If you know him, absolute dog. And so a lot of the stuff that I've done, like the past like 2 weeks, I've been implementing a ton of stuff into the business and noticing a lot of stuff about it. It's purely just from having this like overarching view is just from listening to people ahead of me. Like it's not really anything with me. It's not really anything wise. It's just because this one dude, like I listened to the context that he provided. That's the one thing. Like you can always hear somebody's advice and be like, yeah, that's good advice. But like to truly understand, like people saying you need to get yourself out of ops or like what's a business like basic saying, stuff like the client's always right, like
Hire A
you,
players.
yeah, hire A players. And like yeah, you're like yeah, but you don't understand like the context of it. And then you can't apply that to your business like tactically. And so by listening to like a podcast every day, that's kind of like what I do. It's just part of my daily routine. You get the full context. And so like one full podcast, rather than hearing like a 2-second phrase, hire A players, I get an hour long just like adding context and story behind that. And then tactical advice to where, okay, I'm able to learn that one lesson. And so that's also another great thing with books too. Books always just have like one main takeaway, like one book. There will be a book just about hire A players. But what you get in that book, like people say, oh, I don't need a book to tell me all that, hire A players. But you do need the context so that you can apply it. Like you don't fully internalize it until you get the full story. And so I think that that's one of the main things. Every single learning I've ever had, 90% of it comes from podcasts, listening to these other people like Eddie Malouf talking about his agency
Yeah,
that he's grown to like
dude, like
over a mil a
that's a
month.
massive thing.
Him talking
But
about this
I can't.
exact stage I'm in, him giving all the context. And I'm like, oh, I'm at that exact point. And then him saying, this is exactly what I did to overcome it. I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. Let me just do that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Sorry, I think I lagged. I think I lagged right there. Riverside selling the bag. but yeah. So I missed that last bit, but I think the lesson in what you're saying is that there's a lot of leverage in just consuming someone else's experience, which is kind of like it's kind of like an internet buzzword. Like people always say, like learn from people ahead of you, almost in the same way they say hire A players and things of that nature. But I think a really big action point from that is not just kind of listening to stuff while you're doing other things or listening to stuff, while you're cooking. And obviously you can do that or while you're cooking or you're cleaning stuff up or you're going for a walk. You really have to listen with the intent to learn because that's something that I think a lot of people catch themselves in is like you just kind of watch stuff. You just eat your meal, you cook something in the microwave and then you just turn it on and it's just kind of there. And something that I think is pretty actionable that I've started doing is as soon as I watch something, I won't allow myself to watch it unless I actually take one, two, or three things away from that and say, like, I'm actually going to do X differently as a result of watching this. So that's a really interesting thing. It sounds like you've kind of had a similar experience there.
Yeah. And to build off of that, sometimes it can be annoying because a lot of times it's like, I got to like watch a full podcast. And the thing is, like, you'll watch a full podcast and there will be one thing, like one phrase that somebody says that boom, it clicks. And like that's the takeaway of the whole hour. And if you don't like listen to the whole thing, then you won't have that like big takeaway moment. Because a lot of times 99% of the podcast I'm going to forget. But there's going to be that one phrase that like hits home. Like after I get the full context of the story, and then he made this one saying where I'm just like, that's it. And so that's the thing where a lot of times for me, like when I'm like about to play a new episode, I'm like, is this hour really going to be worth it? But it's like you just have to let that like one epiphany little thing happen, and that's like the greatest feeling ever. That's when I'm like on a walk and pull out the notes app, and then and then I'm back home in the room in like 15 minutes with the Zen and implementing it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And it does actually bring up another thing that I think is really, really important, not only from yourself, but obviously we're big on it inside 1000X Leads as well. And that's your daily routine. So obviously you're in college, you've got a bunch of clients, you're signing like, I don't know how many clients a month at this point, but you're signing a shit ton of clients in uni, trying to get straight A's, I'm hoping. What does that daily routine look like?
Yeah, for sure. So, um, daily routine was never something that I really took seriously, and it's had a big impact on my productivity. And that's one thing that you guys pushed for me. That was awesome. But my daily routine, so my school schedule, I just finished finals, so now I'm like free finally. But I always had, so I have classes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and classes are like from 1 to 5 p.m. And a lot of the days I would skip. So
Bad
not too
boy.
big of a deal, but it is. Yeah, but at least like I'd go to classes like 2 days a week. And so from like 1 to 5, I'm doing like I'm I'm still working, like I'm still on my computer working, but it's like you can only do like little mindless tasks. And so it's super annoying. So like what my daily routine always has been, I'm also on Pacific time, US PST, which is the worst. I guess not worst. You're in Australia, but like it's a terrible time zone because even when I'm up at 6 a.m., like clients are up at like 9 a.m. And so when I like wasn't fully up at like outside of like a lot of the daily client stuff, like it's even when I'm up right away, I'm having to deal with stuff. And so but that now I've recently like really blocked stuff off, and I'm a lot more productive in the morning. But I wake up at like 5:30 every morning. I just love getting up early and getting work done. I think it's the greatest feeling ever. I don't know how people don't do it. But getting up, as far as like morning routine, I don't do the craziest morning routine, but I do just a couple things that just really set me up right. It's just I get up, I immediately get in the shower, I make my coffee, and then I sit on my porch for like 2 minutes and just like sit there in silence and try to ground myself and do a little bit of meditation, and just like chill. And then I just go straight to work. And then I spend an hour and a half on content. So whether it be my newsletter for the day, whether it be YouTube script, I do my clock in form, of course, for my team. But I put together all my content, and then right then I then have a team call, which we have a quick 15-minute call, and then I have another few hours free. And so then at that point, it's now I got to do like the business needle moving stuff. So right off the bat, I do like the content stuff. Then I do a quick check in like with the team, because ideally I would push my team meetings back from like, because right now it's at like 7:30 a.m. my time. I'd like to have like the full like from 6 a.m. to like 10 a.m. unbothered, but I'm on US PST time. My team's on Eastern
Yeah.
time. And so if I push it back to like 10 a.m. my time, that's 1 p.m. and that's like already more than halfway through
Yeah,
the
it's too late.
day.
It's too late.
And yeah, and so I mean, I guess it's trade-offs either way, but anyway, so I always have like morning content, and then I move to deeper work. So that is YouTube scripts, that is sales videos, sales assets, putting that stuff together from like 10 to noon. And then at that point, afternoon, I usually have my calls somewhere between like 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then I'm off to classes, and then I'm doing busy work. I'm doing like client tasks during class. And that's been ideal for me. I just do the busy client tasks in class, responding in Slack. So I'm still team members don't even know that I'm in class because I'm responding ASAP and helping and training. But that's kind of looks like my thing cut out, but that's kind of like the routine there. And then after I go lift, and then I go, I don't know if I'm talking to somebody right now. Hello?
Brutal. I'm
There we
getting
go.
lag. You there? Were you live?
Where did I cut out?
I don't know if you cut out because it'll be on like the local file, but
Oh yeah.
I didn't hear you from when you were talking about heading to class.
All right. Yeah. So then I had a class at like 1. So every single day, like the morning is just like pure work, and then I'll have like some calls. But team call and then like client calls later in the client or sales calls, not really client calls anymore, but sales calls, eat, go to class. And in class, that is when I do all of like the client fulfillment stuff. So I don't really do any client stuff during the day or during the morning. And even now, I don't do as much client fulfillment stuff. This is more like a few months ago. But that's when I do like the updating clients, looking at stats, being like, what are like some angles that I think could work? And that's when I'm doing the busy stuff. And my team doesn't even know that I'm in class because I'm responding in Slack instantly. So it's really not that big of a deal. Like people say, like, oh, you're in college, but like college is so easy. I just sit in the back of the class. I can retain information while like kind of working. So I'm in class 1 to 5, and then I usually will work for another hour, stay on campus, lift, eat, go to bed. Literally all I do is work and then lift and eat. That's it.
I love it.
And I live like with college friends, so I still get like my buddy lives right there, and then down the hall I have a couple other friends. So luckily I don't have to like set aside time to like socialize because like when I come back I'm socializing. When I'm cooking food I'm socializing because all my guys are just right there. I'd go insane probably if it was just me. Um, and so it's nice to have that right there. And so I don't need to like spend time like while I'm in between stuff, I'm socializing with people, walking back from class to the room. But the daily routine really isn't anything crazy. It's I need to be better at time blocking my time for deep work and whatnot. But the routine isn't anything ridiculous. It's just I'll do all the school stuff at night. I just put it off.
That's the way. That's the way. I think the biggest takeaway there is probably like the morning routine gets a lot of heat, especially in this space. They're like, oh, well, you don't need to do your affirmations and you don't need to do your red light saunas and stuff like that in the morning. But I think to think you can either do zero morning routine or you have to do a 4 hour morning routine is an incredibly naive and narrow take.
Yeah.
Because even that 2 minutes, like I bet that sets you up so well for the day because I know I do something similar. And the reason I started doing it was because I noticed that if I got to my desk and my heart rate was above like 60 beats per minute, it would be bad for my focus versus when I'm at my desk, my heart rate is like at complete rest. And I was like, oh, if I just like take like 2 minutes and just breathe, it's gonna be
It's like the best part
you
of the
just
day too.
focus
Just
like
like
crazy.
it's like still outside and you're like and then you just clear your mind and then you just it's so good. Little stuff like that is just so great. And stuff that I wouldn't do because I thought it was corny, but it doesn't feel now it's just like natural. It's just like it's not like I'm going out there to like hum. It's just like chill for a second. Let me enjoy this and then let's attack the day.
Yeah, and it sucks because you almost have to preface stuff like that by saying, yeah, look, and not in like a hippie way, but we do a little bit of breathing just before we get into work. But like I think it's just it's one of those things where you just do it and just try it, and I think it just does have that ROI, 100%. What we can sort of take a little bit of a pivot to though, in terms of sort of a bit more in the weeds stuff. So when you're doing this client getting stuff, when you're doing this, uh, money making stuff, what's been the activities that have generated the most revenue for you? Because obviously there's a lot of stuff that you can do, and you've been really really good at the content side, and you've been really good at doing the revenue generating tasks from what I've seen. Um, but talk to us about that. How does that look for you, and what's been the best performing stuff for you recently?
Yeah, for sure. So, biggest revenue generating task I can do is content and assets lead magnets. That's like I thought it was overrated until my standards rose on what a lead magnet, what an asset, what content is. Until my standards rose and I was like just drilled into me like your shit needs to be good for it to actually work. Like it needs to be good. Like you would have to pay like would you pay $500 like $100 for what you're giving out for free? And that's been the biggest thing for me that has transformed, just like literally going from signing nobody off content to signing like multiple people in a week off content. Like it's just making it so good. And so but the thing is like I wouldn't be able to create such good content if I wasn't really good at what I do. So a lot of people will hear that, like a lot of new guys like starting out, they're like, okay, I got to make content, but they suck at what they do and they don't have the ability to make good content. So it's like, you need to know what you're doing and you need to be like in the weeds testing everything, and have all the experience to then create the really good assets that just perform really well. And so for me, 100%, like not even close, it is making really, really good content and then also just working on like assets. Cause like then I turn assets into like one of my biggest ROI things that I've done recently, is create just this and just really refine my like pre-call sales document and then like post-call sales document. I spent like a full week of all of my focused hours were just that, or like 2 weeks where it's just that sales document. And that right there, I literally had like 2 closes in the past week where they were like, where it was just one call and they were just like, that was just like, great. Like, let's move forward. And I'm just like, whoa, let's hold on a second. Let's hold on a second. And that's just like never happened before. And so it's 100% just that. And it's not just like a lot of that. You need to have like the experience. So again, like me, like, especially when starting, like me 6 months ago wouldn't be able to create as fire content as I could now just because of the experience. Like you need to have the experience, to be able to actually put fire stuff. But then it's like actually like making it really good and making it super tactical. Everything that everybody likes is templatized stuff. You can just copy and paste this. And so finding ways to do that, and then posting that everywhere and packaging it correctly. That is highest ROI for me. And it's not even close.
I love it, mate. I love it. That's like music to my ears, because the like literally the biggest thing, like you said, that we preach is like whatever you think good is, it's got to be way more than that. It's got to be way more than that. And it's also like breaking down what actually does that mean? Because people say like make valuable content. A lot of people say things like, yeah, like you said, like post content, and everyone's like, okay, write that down, write that down. I've got to
Yeah.
post content. Okay, post the content, post it. And what the fuck does that even mean? Like, what is good content? And I think you brought up a really, really good point. It's like, what makes something a unique insight? Because when people like consume content, they're like, I want to go ahead and consume XYZ person who's done this thing a million times. I want to go and consume the most amount of information from them in the shortest amount of time that I possibly can, because I've got to go and run a business. I've got to go and do all this other shit. Like everyone's busy. So it's like if I can go ahead and consume a year's of experience in an hour, there's actually no higher leverage task, because you can have a year in an hour. That's like
Mm-hmm.
literally what leverage is. But the problem is that if you don't have that experience, it's really hard to make that. And really,
Yeah.
if I was gonna reverse engineer it, like what's a unique insight? It's you do something and then you figure out why it works as good as it does, and then you just figure out a better way to do it. And it sounds simple, but it's literally something to the tune of, hey, I've done this many focused work hours, and I found that if I just did 2 minutes of breathing right beforehand, it worked like 20% better. And it's like even just something
Mm-hmm.
as simple as that. That's an insight that's only accessible by doing it a certain amount of times. And obviously, it's become like a cringe buzzword that people say, like, you have to do the thing. But it's not only that you have to do the thing, it's that you have to do the thing and then think about what happened when you were doing the thing, and then testing something new about, oh shit, what happens if I select this Klaviyo setting? What happens if I turn off, this thing? What happens if I breathe for 5 minutes before I do it? What happens if I use this hook or that hook? And then you're like, oh fuck, I just ran this test and I sent it to a list of 100,000 people and this happened. And then someone who wasn't there was like, oh shit, I can just do that. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
that's an immediately actionable, very unique insight. And that is what makes the content extremely good. And I think you especially, because obviously you do a lot of volume of just stuff like across clients and across content, I think that's something that you've absolutely crushed, like you said.
Thank you. Yeah, I think what's great about it too is in order to get good at a thing, like the number one thing, if you want to improve at something, is teach somebody else. It's so weird. Like me writing like this content like forces me to articulate things certainly, and I get a deeper understanding on the topic. Like I'll learn shit as I'm writing content because I'm like trying to like piece stuff together, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a genius. And so that's some of the things that like you won't come up with if you don't like put that stuff together. And so like my team trainings and client results have become so much better with these like putting together these assets and spending a lot of time and just getting these standards like written into me, like this is like it needs to be really fucking good. And that has made like team trainings and client results even better. Like the less time I am on like client stuff, like the results are getting better because I'm getting better at like articulating things and passing that on to like my team members, and the client results are getting better as like in turn. And one thing that I want to touch on before I forget, with this is it's so true. I don't remember. It's like it was you or Matt who said it. Just like people don't, they're not they're not really watching or opting into your stuff like in terms of like ideal clients. They're not really watching or opting into your stuff to like do it themselves. They're just trying to see if you're competent, and they just want to see what you have to say because they're like curious. And so that's what like people who have come to sign with me like off of content, they had no intention at all of like acting on any of this. They were just like kind of curious, and they're like, interesting. They had no intention of setting up their own Klaviyo email marketing flows. They're curious kind of what the strategies are and like who I am. And so that's one of the biggest things where I'm not afraid to give away everything for free. And like, yeah, like other email marketers will take it. That's fine. But the thing is like the ROI is just like, that's one of the greatest things that I've
Yep.
noticed with like the clients that have come in is just like, they had no intention of using it. And so it's not like I'm losing a client off of it. I've only gained clients off of it.
Yeah, and that kind of hits on one of the biggest questions that people have. They're like, "Oh, how much should I give away? This is too good. Like this is my alpha. This is my IP."
Yeah, I hate that.
And it after hearing that question so many times because people ask it all the time, it's easy to be like, "Oh, well, you just give it away," but you have to actually explain why. And the reason why is because if you're the one that people copy, you're in charge, and
Oh yeah. And yeah.
it's that simple. And if they're watching your stuff, giving you watch hours, that just propels you closer to the clients.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, you can gatekeep. Yeah, do your thing. Everybody's just going to be watching my stuff, and I just even if it's my competitors, like, so what? Use this for your clients. I don't care. Their respect for me goes up. Like my just authority and superiority just continues to go up, and then it'll serve me like in the future too, because eventually, just like referrals will start coming in as well, off of that. And so I'm not tripping because if you want to gatekeep, awesome. More viewers for me, more people gonna learn my stuff and get my fire stuff.
Yeah, and especially if you're the most advanced as well, which always helps. But one other thing that I did want to touch on before I moved on, and this is something that I think I've implemented recently that I think you would like, and I don't know if you already do this or not, but what I started doing was I really was struggling to get to sleep at the end of the day because I was too switched on. I would just stop working and then just go to sleep. I just started bringing a book into my room at night, like a notepad, and I would just write all the lessons from the day and all the shit that I learned. And it was number one, really good for my sleep. So I started having dreams again, which is super random. But I was like, wow, like I just ran, like I didn't even realize I wasn't dreaming, but now I
Yeah.
am. So that's a tick. But then the next thing was that actually became my best content because when you turn your thoughts into content, when you turn your ideas into content, it forces you to, like you said, it forces you to be simpler. It forces you to be more articulate. It forces you to be even more persuasive as well. And what I found was the amount of gems that were just sitting there at the end of the day that, they get lost in sleep was actually huge.
Hmm.
Like I was actually making some banger stuff. Same as you, I was like, damn, this is actually pretty good. This is, I could probably use this. And then I was throwing up tweets that were just from that night. And it's kind of almost in a passive state and it's helping you relax. Um, I just did it. I was like,
That's
oh,
good.
wow, that
Yeah.
really
What
worked.
time is like nighttime for you for US? Like when you're going to bed, what time US is that?
I typically go to bed at like 9:30 AEST, which I think would be like right in the morning EST. So it'll be like 8 or 9 a.m.
Gotcha.
ish.
Gotcha. Yeah. Gotcha. So you're going to bed pretty early. I like in Prague, it was terrible. Like when I was living in Europe, because I'd have to instantly just like turn an off switch because like I'm working till like 1 a.m. every day. And then
Mm.
it's like I'm just going instantly from my desk to bed. So it was really tough. But now, like and I'd work out in the morning because I wouldn't work out at night because that's time where I needed to be there because
Yeah.
9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern is kind of when I'm there. So I was working out in the morning, but what really helps me at night, like I need to like completely shut off like my work side. So at night, once I finish working, it's working out and then I don't go back to work. I just don't go back to work after I work out, because that lets me reset and that lets me get my brain ready to sleep. And so I don't go back to my desk at all, because then I'll just be thinking about business and I won't be able to go to bed.
I wish and I hope that people hear that and actually do it, because if someone had told me that a year ago or 2 years ago, it would have made me sleep like 20% better that whole time. Because I literally started doing that in the last month, and I was like, holy fuck, I cannot believe that I wasn't doing this, because I was notorious. Even if I wasn't like talking to a client or something, even if I was just like, I'll just be at my desk and I'm just like, oh, it's time to go to
Mm,
bed, and I'll just go to bed. But
yeah,
it's absolutely imperative. Just turn your computer off. I have an office as well now, which is really clutch. Just leave the office. Not
nice.
allowed to go in the office past a certain time. And again, it's one of those things that sounds really cringe in like when you say it in theory, but when you actually do it, you're like, nah, like I'm doing that, like 100%.
Yeah, I can't even read like business. I won't watch any business YouTube videos, because then my mind will just keep going, and I won't read any of my business books at night too, because then I'll just want to like work. And so I just have you have to force yourself to turn that off switch, because also then I know the biggest thing is just like I know my highest ROI time is during the morning, right when I wake up. And if I stay up thinking about business, if I stay up trying to like work, that's just going to sacrifice my high ROI time in the morning. And so that's been one of the things that has been huge for me, and something that I make sure I do every night, is I have at least 2 hours buffer between time when I work and then time I go to bed, work out, clear my mind. And that pretty much empties all the work stuff, which is great. And that's why I like working out at night. That's why I don't work out in the morning.
Yeah, it's almost baffling how simple and stupid it sounds and obvious almost, but how few people do it. Which is kind of like it's kind of like with everything. Like even if you kind of reverse engineer the success you've had, it's like just kind of doing all the shit that you're meant to do. Like you just make your content, you do your outbound, you make your lead magnets, you get your good sleep, you work out, you hang out with your friends, make sure you're not, becoming mentally ill or burnt out. And that's kind of like, that's all the stuff. But I think that's a good,
Yeah.
it's a good point to transition, because obviously you're in email marketing. It's not like, it's not the most saturated thing or the most competitive thing, but it is competitive. There are a lot of people that do it. Obviously there's a lot of people popping up, kind of everywhere, every other day. A lot of people that have had good success with it. What do you think the thing is about you and your company that's allowed you? Obviously, there's content and the stuff we've talked about, but what do you think the main stuff is that's allowed you to really just kind of? I would say you're very, very, very close to being like a top authority. There's like Chase Diamond. There's like all the guys that have been around for a little bit longer than yourself. What do you
Mhm.
think the thing is that's allowed you to get that good that quick and start signing that many clients and start making that much money that quick?
Yeah. It's a good question, and one that I don't fully know. And I think it will take a long time for me to know and know what character traits I have and what I've done. But I think a lot of it is I kind of just, a lot of stuff will pitter patter around. One of the things is I'll just relentlessly implement um, what is told of me. And I wouldn't say that, because see, like even that, like I think I'm very bad at it too, because sometimes like there's something I know I should do, like doing a certain channel, and I won't do it. So I don't even know. I think it's a lot of it is just who I am. Like for my team, like my team has been absolutely crushing, and I think that's like the vibe. I think people just like to rally around me, like the team. I think something about like who I am and how I reflect my vision, how I want people to be. I think that's one thing that I really am honed in on. I'm really focused on like the team and how I'm getting things good with them. But like then even on a client side, I think it's just my charisma, who I am, that people kind of like. I'm just very straight up and honest, and I'm overly confident to a point it's a fault. And so I will be like anybody who says anything, I will figure it out. So like for example, like if a client, like it's bad to the point that like I will accept a lot of clients even when it's a difficult situation, because I'm like, no, I'm gonna be the one to figure it out. Um, so that's one of the things where I think it's the confidence that I give off. I think it's kind of the charisma that people see. Um, Character traits. I think it all would have to come down to character traits, but I think like standing out, it's just like doing all the things every single day. And I don't even know. I kind of forgot the original question.
Nah,
I've just
100%.
been, I
I
think,
think
like, I don't
it's
know.
probably a
I
tough one.
really don't
Yeah, it's
know.
probably a tough one because I'm kind of like, hey, tell everyone why you're so good. But to be honest,
And there's like so many things that go into it that it's like, it's hard to nail one. I just think it all just comes down to character traits. Um,
I think it's how you show up. To be honest, because it is a vibe. Like it is a vibe. Like it's a good time when you got Maxi Sturt on the beat. It's a vibe, and that is criminally underrated because like you'll hear of agency owners. At least I do. I obviously talk to a lot of them, but you'll hear of guys that pay their team late. They show up late to meetings. They just like don't fulfill properly and all of that sort of thing. And it's always the basics. And this is why when like people talk about saturation and competition, it's like there's always room for a winner. There's never not room for a winner. And I think that's kind of the
I like
you
that.
kind of show up that way. Like you show up like
I like the phrase like a winner. Like there's some people where you're like that dude's a winner, and you can give off those energies. And so I think some people, like people that I talk to, and it's like I'm trying to like consult them or they ask me questions, and I'm just like, kid's just not a winner. And like you can tell people, like even when they're at like just a couple clients or something, like if that person's a winner, you can just tell. And so I don't know. It's super hard to say, but I like that phrase, using that to describe it.
yeah, like that's because I was thinking about it too. Obviously, before we scheduled this chat, I was like, what did Max do versus the other 50 email marketing agencies that I know? It's like, well, he did the stuff. He did it without worrying about other people and kind of just said, fuck it, I'm going to do it. And he just continued to do it and show up the right way. And personally, when I hear someone say shit like that, I hate it sometimes because I'm like, oh, well, I already knew that. But it kind of just is the case that there's always room for a winner. So you need to just optimize for becoming that. So it's like, okay, if these are the things that I
Mhm.
need to do, I need to just become the type of person that has that integrity, that just continually does it and continually treats people the right way. And then eventually, like, shit just pans out. Like, for people like you, shit just pans out
Yeah.
all the time, randomly.
Yeah, and I think there's some sort of intensity that I also bring. Like I'm very it's different. I'm sure it's different with like depending on who I'm talking to if they see it, but I think I'm very like go go go. And so like I'm trying to work. I just listened to David Jacob talk for a while, and absolute G. And he was talking about like these pillars of life, and I'm trying to figure out my pillars of life. So I've given it a lot of thought. And like the two that really stand out to me that I like constantly ask myself and constantly try to reinforce in my actions is there are two that come to mind. I'm trying to figure out if there are more. The first one is show the fuck up, like just show the fuck up and be the man. Then the second one is figure it the fuck out. I'm trying to find ways that don't use the F word to make it a little bit more. But like that's just who I am. It's just like figure it the fuck out and show the fuck up. And so those are the two things that I'm trying to, because like show the fuck up. That's just intensity, showing up every day and showing up for the stuff that you don't want to and doing the stuff that you don't want to do. Sometimes I don't want to set aside 2 hours to work on this lead magnet or something like
Lead
that. But you
magnet.
got to show the fuck up for your duties. And then the other one, figure it the fuck out. That's the biggest thing too, because you have to do something, but like maybe you're scared to like start doing it. But figure it the fuck out. Like this is what you have to do. Figure it the fuck out. And so those are the two things that jump out to me that I think I hopefully like try to embody in my actions.
Sorry, we just got hit with a bit of lag. We'll just cut that. But
Yeah, I was just
yeah,
saying,
we got a
those are
young
the two
Gary
things
Vee
that
in
I
the
really try
mix
to live up
right
to.
here for sure. That's the game.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think we're coming up to the time we had scheduled. I do want to throw in a bit of a shameless plug because you've been a very, very successful client of 1000X. I don't want to push it too hard because obviously, like I always love to say, you're going to win anyway. It's kind of that simple. But if I was going to put you on the spot and just get you to talk about what has been not bad about the experience.
Of course, dude. Yeah, I am the first person to always like if I enjoy something, like I will happily endorse it, like 100%. So the things that I've liked about 1000x leads is the mindset shifts that just get put into you. Um, that's been one of the biggest things. Like, to talk about a little bit about numbers, is like in the past, I'd probably sign like 2 clients a month. In like the past, like May already, I've signed 7. And that like says itself. Like, I joined like a couple months ago, and I was getting results right off the bat, but it really is just exponential. The stuff that you get, and this is just like proof of it. And like, to be honest, like, it's not like, a lot of it is you as a person. Like, it's not 1000x leads that's writing my lead magnets every day and making like good content and stuff, but it is them who like really drill it into you. And the biggest thing is priorities. Everybody has the same amount of time in the day. It's just like, what do you set your priorities to? And so just getting that drilled in every single day is super helpful. And then, of course, the tactical advice. That's what's been amazing for me. And I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. Yes, I do that in some fashion. Maybe I'd probably have like, maybe I'd sign like 3 clients on the month, but definitely not like 7, where every single day, like, I'm hitting you guys with like the most random questions, asking you random like lead magnets reviewed, and I'm getting like advice that is sometimes obvious, but like you don't see and you don't get that. The biggest thing is that I love is just getting, what's the word? Getting confirmation on a lot of the stuff, because clearing that mental bandwidth from people who have done it before. Because like, I was just talking about this earlier. So say I'm like dealing with something that, and this isn't a new concept, but like, this is how I think about it. Say there's something that's like annoying on my mind, and it's like, am I doing this like one thing right? Like, should I be putting more time into this thing? And then I could go like the next 2 months, like, kind of that's holding my mental bandwidth. And I'm just like, it's in the back of my mind and I'm trying different things, like, or I can just like be like, yo, is this what I'm doing? And then it's like, should I be doing this? And then one of you guys is just like, yeah, we did this exactly at my agency. That's what you should be doing. And then boom, the next 2 months, that's out of my mental bandwidth. It's no longer in there. And so then that just opens up time to focus on other things. And that's the biggest thing. That is goated. And then the other stuff is just like implementing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad. I'm glad because I love to see it. I love to see when you've reviewed like 5 lead magnets from someone. I love to see when they're going to good use and they're getting you some clout, because that's all you can ask for. But yeah, man, I appreciate the time. I cannot wait to see what you're going to do. The next 12 months is going to be juicy, because
Oh
really,
yeah.
like, you're just getting started. Like, what's next for you? You reckon? What's the plan?
Sorry, cut out there for a second.
Where did you leave off?
Juicy.
Yeah, I said next 12 months will be juicy. What do you think what's the plan for you? What are the goals?
Oh man. Um, just continue to grow. I don't know. The goalpost always moves, and there's always stuff to do. I think I just want to. I just love this too much to. Dude, I don't even know. I can't even articulate it. I don't know what I'm doing the next 12 months. Anytime I make a plan, it doesn't go. I'm just going to continue Chad growing. I think it's just super fun to grow. And I think it's really fun to grow a team. That's been the most fun part of this all. Like, the most fun part, and it's not even close, like, signing clients is awesome, but seeing like the people that I hired and I trained, like, them interacting with each other in Slack without me, sending jokes to each other, they're like best friends, and I facilitated that. That's the coolest part. And I don't want to just like sign people on the team just to like get people on the team, but like, I'm at like 10 team members. I think like just continuing to grow that and just creating the most cohesive, fun team is like the biggest thing that I'm trying to do in the next 12 months. And then obviously that just like results in
Yep.
results. But the biggest thing for me, I guess, outside of that is I just want to just continue content in social media and just grow as big as I can there. I always have loved growing social media. Like, ever since I was a kid, I'd have like Madden mobile Instagram accounts, YouTube accounts. I'd have like whatever video game I was playing, I'd have a YouTube channel for it. That's just always been fun for me. I just love content and growing content. And so that's something that'll always be a focus for me. And so if I could just grow there, continue to put out good content, then that'd be great. I stopped tracking outputs really. Um, it's kind of a corny thing to say, but like I really don't, because I can't even make an accurate estimate of what I'd like to do. Just like enjoy the process, I think is the biggest thing.
No, that's huge. That's huge. I mean, like for someone to be 21, not only having that mindset, but also actually having the ability to be like, nah, I'm just going to like grow my team. That's a lot of fun. And I'm sure you're going to see your mates kind of grow up a bit more. Not to say you're not growing up, but they're going to sort of go into the world and they'll be like, wow, like I have a job and I do all this regular stuff. And you're going to be like, wow, I've just provided food for like 30 families because I have like 30, 50 employees now. And that's going to be fun. But yeah, to be honest, my camera just cut out, so I think that's probably a good sign that this is
Nice.
gonna
It's a
have to wrap
sign.
up. But yeah, man, it's been a pleasure. I'm really keen to see what you can do, and yeah,
Hell
don't do
yeah.
anything other
Appreciate
than
it.
what you're currently doing. Just keep doing it.
Preach. Hell yeah.
Oath, brother.
Hell
Call it
yeah,
there.
dude. Good shit.